Do you ever feel like your daily routines are going pretty well, but you just can't find the time for those bigger tasks like deep cleaning, or you just don't know where to plug them into your schedule? So, a listener recently asked about this. So, today we're actually covering 5 steps to help you easily schedule those bigger tasks without falling behind.
Are you ready to stop the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm that's filling your life? I'm Renee Matt, and together you and I are going to build simple routines that are going to change your life. When you put these habits into practice, you're going to be able to organize your life in a way where you can be there for your family, pay off your debt, save money, your house can stay organized, you don't have to stress about what's for dinner, and you still get time for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Routine Advantage Podcast.
So, this question came up from Cindy in our Facebook community, and I really appreciate it when questions come up to help give me some guidance on where to make some clarifications. So, if you ever have a question, please feel free to reach out to us. Either you can post it in the Facebook community and I can try and answer it there, or even bring it to the show, or you can even reach out to me by email at theroutineadvantagepodcast@gmail.com. And I am happy to answer any questions you have, and I would love to hear from you. So, this question came from Cindy. And in her question, she said, I'm working through the blueprints and getting my morning routine and daily 7 implemented. Where are you putting in the time to do those deeper cleaning tasks, volunteer work, gardening, errands, etc.? I can certainly see where the daily 7 keeps things much more tidy in general, but I'm struggling to time block in the time for deeper cleaning and those other tasks. I homeschool and have a majority of my day blocked out for that, and I like to leave dinner and beyond open for family time. So I feel like I'm limited in between. And first of all, I thank you for this question, Cindy, because I think it is super, super important that you are taking the time to block out for homeschooling and for family time after dinner because you know what your priorities are. And that is absolutely amazing. So I'm hoping I can help you with doing this process of getting those other tasks scheduled in without it feeling like it's taking away from those things that are your priority. And I think this is a really good way of doing this. This works for me personally, and I love sharing about it. So hopefully, this will work for you, or you can at least take a piece of this and put it into your life to make it work for you. So, I do have something called an annual task list. And if you have not listened to episode 48 yet, that is a great one to kind of go into the little nuts and bolts of how to create your own and why you want to create one. But I will touch on it here in this episode. So I think having an annual task list really is a key for me so that I don't have to have my traditional to do list. I am a list person. I naturally want to create a list for pretty much everything. However, if I'm not careful, what happens is I start creating too many lists, or I get too much in the weeds in my list and the list itself becomes extremely overwhelming. And that's kind of what I was running into. And when I started putting routines into place, I no longer needed my to do list because I figured out how to make my life more organized in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming and helps me stay on top of the things that I need to stay on top of. So, like you had mentioned, your daily 7 and your morning routine, those are part of the 5 foundational routines. So, anybody listening, if you have not listened to previous episodes on the 5 foundational routines that I talk about, it is number 1 is your morning routine, number 2 is your meal planning routine, the third is your daily 7 home routine, the fourth is your movement routine, and the fifth is your budget routine. And when you have these 5 routines in place, you have a simple default routine to go to in each of these 5 areas. And for myself, I have found that these work really well, that when I have these functioning and in motion, my life stays pretty dang well organized. And that is the case for others too. Like it's not just me. These 5 routines apply to any season of life, any age, any situation of life. You can be single, you can be married, you can have kids, you can have grown kids, you can have little kids. You can be, it works for men and women. You can do whatever you want in these routines. But when you have the default routine to organize that particular area, these five really do apply to everybody. So, when you have these routines in place and you have it structured in a way that you have some things done, like for instance, your daily 7 home routine will have 7 tasks that you repeat in order, in the same order, and you get really efficient and you can do those things really well to keep your home tidy. And that is your day to day stuff. It doesn't have to be the deep cleaning stuff. So, day to day, by having this routine in your life, you stay pretty well organized without doing anything else. So, I'm not saying you don't do anything else, but these will help you stay organized because you have a simple structure and a simple system with these 5 routines that keep your life running very smoothly. However, like you had mentioned, all these additional tasks and those deep cleaning tasks, things that still need to be done, we need to figure out how to get those into our life when they're not part of those daily routines with those 5 foundational routines. And the way that we do this is the annual task list. And basically, it is a list that breaks everything out into a very visual format that also creates a plan for you. So once you get yours set up, you will see that each month there is a list of things to accomplish. It's not necessarily your traditional to do list, but it is still a list, but it's less overwhelming. And during your weekly planning process, when you are planning out your week, all you have to do is grab a few things from that big annual task list and you're able to choose the ones that work for that week and you can plug them into your day stack on when it works best for your schedule. So you might find that it's easier to do your tasks in the morning before you start school, since you're homeschooling. If you want to put it in during, during a lunch break, or maybe it's after school and the kids have some outdoor chores, or they're just outside playing, and you can take some time to do that before you have to start dinner, and you can focus on getting some tasks done. Maybe it's a weekend when you are wanting your whole family to kind of pitch in and take an hour or two to get some of those bigger tasks done so then you can enjoy the weekend. You have to decide what works best for you, but this will give you some structure on how to be able to plan those things out. So, what you're going to want to do is actually create your list. So, step 1, you want to create a list of all of the things that are outside of your foundational routines. And I like to do this in a spreadsheet or in the back of my paper planner. My paper planner, you're going to end up having to write a lot more. So if you're a paper and pen person, that's great. Just grab a blank sheet of paper. If you are a spreadsheet person, you can do this in a spreadsheet and just down one column, you're going to write down all of the things you do outside of your routines. So if your part of your daily 7 home routine is laundry and doing dishes, things like that, these are not going on this list. This list is going to be the other things. It's going to be those bigger tasks. It's the deep cleaning tasks. It could be the volunteer work. Maybe it is specific volunteer work on there. It could be your gardening or your lawn care or the errands like Cindy mentioned. So you're just going to create a list of all these things. And in episode 48, I actually do go through some ideas to help you get these on your list so that it kind of starts spurring some creative thoughts so you can get your list filled. And then the step 2 is to write columns across the top for each month. So if you can kind of close your eyes and visually see this, your very first column is all of your tasks going vertically down the list. And then you're going to have 12 columns to the right of that. And at the top of these columns, each one is going to be a month. So it's going to go January, February, March, April, all the way through to December. Okay. And then what you're going to end up with is basically a grid where you have these little cells or you have these little boxes across from each task. So on line 1, you'll have your task. And then across the top, you'll have 12 boxes from January to December. Now, once you do this, you're going to go to step 3, which is under each month that you want to complete the task. You're just going to highlight that cell, whether it's on paper or on the spreadsheet, you're just going to color in that cell. So, for instance, if you have wash the curtains on your task list and you want to do this in April, and maybe you want to do it again in September before the winter, then what you would want to do is you'd go to April and you'd just highlight the cell, and then you'd go to September and you'd highlight the cell. Okay? That's all you do, and you just go down your task list and you highlight the cell of when you want to accomplish these things. Okay? Then we're going to go to number 4. And at the beginning of each month, I like to pull a list of all of the month's tasks and divide them by the number of weeks in that month. So now that you have your list going, and as things come up, I will just mention, as things come up and you think of other things that need to be done, like maybe it is, swapping out the furnace filter, maybe it is deep cleaning the furniture, and maybe it's doing carpets, like all those types of things, like deep cleaning the carpets. Those types of things, if you think of something that needs to be added in there, washing light fixtures, then just add them to your list later. Like this is a growing list, it can work with you. And what you want to do is at the beginning of each month, I like to take a little post-it note and I just go down and I look at the month. So say it's January, go into the January column and I see all of the highlighted cells for that January column. So I can just write on my little post-it so that I can transfer that into my paper planner, because when I'm planning out my week, I'm planning out my week and I want to include everything. So if I have all of the January tasks on this little post it note, I can then move it onto my January month for my paper planner. And now I've got all the monthly bigger tasks that need to be accomplished there. Okay. So then we move into step, let's see, where am I here? Okay, so that was step 4. So now on step 5, we are going to plan out the weekly planning session. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through and you're going to do your day stacks. You're going to, figure out your meal plans if that's part of your planning session. But what you're also going to do is you're going to take the tasks that you need to do that week and you're going to plug them in where they will work best in your day stack. Now, this is going to look a little bit different depending on what tasks are on there, right? So we divided them up. So say you have 20 tasks on your list for January, and let's say there are 4 weeks in January that you have the ability to do these tasks. So then you're going to divide 20 by 4 and you have 5 tasks that need to be done each week. So you can decide at that point, are these tasks that you can double up and you can do them at the same time as something else? Do you need to dedicate specific time? Does it take an hour to do this? Does it take 10 minutes to do it? Is it something that you can do with your family, or do you have to do this on your own? Can you delegate it to somebody else? All these different things, but then you're going to want to plug them in. And this is where maybe it's before breakfast, maybe it's during lunch break, maybe it is after the kids go to bed, maybe it's that Saturday morning before you go do the fun stuff. You can decide when you want to plug in these 5 tasks throughout your week of whenever it works best for you. And then once you do it, you just go back to your annual task list and you mark an X under the month that it actually gets completed. And the reason I like doing this, so that's technically step 4. I don't know if I said earlier step 5, or I'm sorry, that's technically step 6. So I think I said 5 steps, but this is going to be 6 steps because you need to go back and actually check it off, because this will help you moving forward on planning for the following year, because this can just cycle through, because these are things that you're probably going to need to do next year as well. So when you go back and check off the month. So let's say you did want to wash those curtains in April and you ended up either not being able to do it in April and you had to do it in May, or maybe you had some downtime in March and you were able to get it done in March and you didn't have to wait until April. Whatever time frame you completed it, even though it was highlighted under April, then you can go and check the box. Like, let's say you did do it in May and washed those curtains in May, then go back to your annual task list and put a little X in the May cell for that task. And what this is going to do is it's going to show you at the end of the year, when you go back and plan for the following year, you're going to be able to see where you actually completed these things. So then it gives you a little bit better of an idea on how to plan for the following year. And it just improves a little bit each time. So it works really smoothly because if you know that, February is a crazy busy time for your family, that's probably not a good month to start scheduling out a lot of different tasks. But if you know that February is a really good down month where you have some extra time to do some things, maybe you want to put more tasks in that month so that you can get some things done so that it can kind of free up some of the other months. And this is just things that you want to pay attention to, but it sounds like it's a lot, but once you actually create this list and start using it and using it to your advantage where it works really well for you, it is amazing at how much stress it relieves because not only do you have it planned out and you know when these things are happening, but when you look at all of the other things that need to be done, you can kind of take a deep breath and then just let it go because you don't have to worry about all of the other things or the things you still need to get to or when am I going to find time to do this because it's already planned out. Like you've got a super simple structure on how to plug these things into your day or into your week so that you can get to them when it's necessary and you don't have to stress about it too early. So, this is my favorite way to do this. And I think that it works so well for me. And I'm hoping that it will work well for you because it has been just so much of a game changer. And now I no longer have to do a to do list because everything's pretty well taken care of. Like it's built into these routines, and then when I'm planning out my week, I just choose what I'm going to do and plug them in where I can. And I have a couple of extra tips that are not part of the steps, but I do think that they're really important to think about. Is when we have these tasks and we're focusing on them and we're trying to get them in, there are going to be times where it feels very overwhelming. And if I have more than 3 that I have my focus on, I usually end up not doing any of them. And the reason I do that is because it seems overwhelming when life gets busy and then all of a sudden I have this long task list of things that I need to get done and I'm kind of running out of time and I start feeling a little stressed. So what I like to do is even though I have them plugged in, I like to really focus on the 3 that are my biggest priorities. So it's like, okay, if I don't get any all of them done, which 3 am I going to be most happy that I have done? And then those are the 3 that I write into my priority tasks on the left column of my paper planner, but those are going to be my primary focus. I want to get those 3 done first. And that is what I choose to do, and I feel like it's way less intimidating because once I can just focus on those 3, I can get those 3 done. And then when I have more time or when I get those done, I feel a sense of accomplishment and then I can focus and I can write in the next 3 or maybe I don't even have 3 more, but I can write in the next ones so that I can get all of them done, but I'm not staring at, 5 to 8 different tasks. I'm just focusing on the 3 so that I can get them done and get them out of the way and then I move on to the next ones. And that just helps me. I think it's just a mindset thing, but if you struggle with this, that might help you too. The second tip I wanted to mention is that if you are plugging these in, for me, it works really well to try to plug them in earlier in the week if I can. So if I wait too long and I wait till the end of the week to get these tasks done, I end up getting a little stressed and I'm ready for the weekend. So if I can plug them in on like Monday or Tuesday especially, get them done or at least one or two of them done, I'm way more likely to get them all done by the end of the week. And that is really huge for me. The third tip I want to just mention is that if you fall behind, it's going to be okay. Just do what you can. And then, like I said, the highlighting is just the plan. That's what you're hoping to do. But when you actually complete the task, mark the X, and you will find that your life kind of ebbs and flows. And you're going to have days where all of a sudden it's like, I have a free day and I can like hammer out a lot of different things in my house. and you might just be on a roll and you can go through and you can do all these different things because you just feel energized and you have the ability to do that. That's amazing. So then go back to your task list and start like putting an X on all the things that you did do. And then you don't have to worry about doing them later. You're already ahead of the game. And that is something that you have the flexibility to do. That doesn't mean that you are not doing it perfectly or you're failing or you can't keep up with this, this system or this routine. It just means that you're making it work for the way that it works for your life. You can still be organized with this task list and kind of switch things up if it's needed at the time. So, I want to make sure that you know that you have the ability to take this and make it work for your life. So, will do a quick recap for you because that was a lot of information. But like I said, episode 48 is going to be a one that really helps you walk through and create this annual task list if you want to get a little more information there. So I will do a quick recap for you because that was a lot of information. So here are the steps for doing that annual task list and so that you can plan out your week with your routines and plugging in those additional tasks that need to be done. Is number one, you want to write a list of all the things you do in one column that are outside of your normal routines. These are outside of those 5 foundational routines because if it's already in your routines, you don't need it on this list. Number two is to write columns across the top for each month. So you start from January to December and you go across the month. Step 3 is under the month that you want to complete that task, highlight the cell. And then step 4, at the beginning of each month, pull the list for that month's tasks and divide them up by the number of weeks in that month. And then step 5 is during the weekly planning session, when you sit down to plan out your week, choose from that post-it note or whatever list you have of that month's tasks. Choose which tasks you are going to do that week and then plug them in on your day stack of where it fits best for you and for that particular task. And then step 6, once you complete your task, go back to your annual task list and check off the box in the month that you completed it so it helps you in the planning process moving forward. So, Cindy, I hope this was helpful for you. I hope it wasn't too confusing. It is a very simple thing once you have it in place, and I hope it's helpful to actually get something systemized and into your life to be able to do these additional tasks, but planning them, plugging them into your day stack is what I find is super helpful. And like I said, especially focus on just those 3 priorities first so that it doesn't feel overwhelming. And then make sure to try to plug them in to complete them earlier in the week if possible. And if it's not perfect, that's okay. You need to make it work for you. So hopefully this was helpful for you. I will see you on the next episode on Monday.
Did you love that episode or learn something useful? If so, would you do me a huge favor? My goal is to grow this podcast and help as many women as I can break free from the overwhelm so they can truly enjoy their life. The best way for me to do this is for you to leave a 5-star written review on your podcast app and to share this episode with a friend or in your Instagram stories. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.